Patrick McNeil, welcoming everybody to another episode of Inside the Nest, as I'm joined by my co-host, Brad Chandler. We have a very special guest today, Cape Breton Eagles owner Irwin Simon, who's visiting Cape Breton. He comes by a few times a year. Irwin, what do you think of the current state of the team as we're coming up to the playoffs?
Well, Brad and Pat, good to be here with you, first of all. Good to be at the Nest. Always good to be in Cape Breton. And just not a few times a year, Pat. I'm here enough, but I get to listen to you on every game, Pat, and love hearing your voice. And Brad doing some great stuff in regards to getting all the great news out about the Eagles and what we're doing. Listen, excuse me, that's my Cape Breton frog that's I picked up here. The good news is there's not 150 centimeters of snow, but there's a lot of rain out there, guys. The exciting thing is this here. Last year, for the whole year, we had 30 wins. We're at 32 right now. I had discussions with, the team last night, and Louis like to get to 38. I thought it would be close to 40, but, we had 3 games that went into overtime or shootout, so we got a point. Those could have went either way, so that could be 41. So, number one, I'd like to see us end the season with 38 wins. I'd like to see us, in the first round, whether it's Moncton, Rimouski, Shawinigan, one of those 3 teams. As I sat and talked to the coaching staff last night, we're ready for any team, which is good. So team has come a long way, and I remember at the first of the season when we weren't winning consistently, and Louis would say to me, "It's not where you begin, it's where you end." But once the regular season's over, it's the playoffs are a whole new season, and it's like Boston Bruins last year. They, just tore the league apart, and they were gone in the first round. And, the Maple Leafs, how many times they've never made it out of the first round. So I think what's important is that we get to a respectable area or a place, and then who we're going to play in the first round of the playoffs. And which is important, I think, in the first round of the playoffs is we get home advantage, and that's what I'd very much like to see. So that's right now what I'd like to see. The other thing I'd like to see is, more and more fans coming out and cheering this team on, because there's some great hockey here. There's some, really interesting players. There's some great future NHL draft choices. So you're missing some good stuff. And there's nothing like watching this game live. Pat, it's great to listen to you do the play-by-play. Nothing against you, but hey, great to be at the Nest and watch them play live.
You talked about the transition of maybe like how far the team has come since the beginning of the season. I think a big part of that is the trade deadline acquisitions of Lucas Romeo, La Rochelle, Chuck Lavillet, and Thomas Cibulka. Can you talk about what you've liked from their play, from what you've seen?
Listen, I've liked every single one of those, and it's interesting because I had lots of discussions with Sylvan before these happened, and we were giving up some draft choices, and we were trading away some players that had been with us since they were 16, 17. But so far they have been great players. Lucas has had, but I think he's got 14 goals since he's been here. So Sabuka on defenseman is just solid. He's like a truck. You can't get by him. I just hope he comes back next year. So they have been some great trades. And I think what's important, listen, you can trade away your future years to go for it. And I think it's important also to sort of say, hey, this is a team this year that we know we can get through the first round and get to the second round. And I think that's, as we looked at it, and then you never know what's going to happen after that. That's the big thing. So those trades got us confident that we could get absolutely through the first round and get, somewhere in the second round, then, all the gloves are off. So really happy with those trades.
How involved are you in that process? Is Sylvan checking in and everybody at Eagle Land checking back in terms of how the trades go down?
Listen, I am somebody very much who empowers the people that are in the power. And you know, you've met Trevor. He has every stat, and he's involved and knows everything going on. Um, the last thing I want to do is to tell Sylvain Coutier, who has been doing this for 25 years, that he shouldn't do this, can't do this, and whatever. Um, I'm big in empowering the people. And so it's Sylvan and Louis are the hockey guys, and it's their decision. They are very courtesy in running things by me, getting my opinion. But, I absolutely know about these things, are well advised of them, and we talk about them. But they're building out the roadmap, and they're building out the team. And, you know, Sylvan and I chatted the other day, we're getting lots of calls for lots of our draft choices coming up, etc. But absolutely involved, but all those decision making are left up to those guys from hockey operations. After, this podcast with you at 1:30 today, we're going to sit down and just go through the draft and what's coming up and strategic planning those things out.
So obviously, like, you've been here. You said this is your 5th season, your 4th season.
2018.
It seems like a lot
Fall
of seasons,
2018,
but COVID made it even like the long COVID. But 2018, I acquired the team, and so I guess it's 5 seasons.
Yeah. Can you explain kind of what went into that process of gaining ownership of the team?
So, I've always, number one, a hockey fan, and I've been involved in many, times to buy into sports teams that didn't, happen. And I look back to some of them and say, great decisions or major mistakes, and you don't look at your mistakes. I was also involved in the basketball team in St. John's, Newfoundland, which was part of the Canadian National Basketball League. I was offered other teams as part of the CHL. But, I approached the ownership back in 2017, 2018, and they had owned it for many, they owned it since the beginning, since Greg Lynch, founded the team with these guys. And I think they felt it was time to, sell the team. This team has never made it past the second round. This team has never been to a Memorial Cup. And the team was kind of run as a good, steady Eddie team. And what I thought, I would come in here and invest in rebranding the team, which we did from the Screaming Eagles. Invest in, one of the big things, bringing players to Cape Breton, because a lot of times when we draft players, they didn't want to come to Cape Breton. The other thing is we've made a few coaching changes in between here, and some of my best decisions in life and people, some of my worst decisions have been people. But again, as we made decisions, we've invested money into infrastructure, their travel, marketing, people, having good people, like you guys. So I'm very, very happy, and the Eagles is, I'm involved with lots of businesses, but this is part of my family. And being from here and owning the Eagles, I guess it almost feels like living in, being from Toronto and owning the Toronto Maple Leafs.
What coming in
top
here?
Dog here.
Yeah, top dog is right. Yeah, coming in here, like you said, that you did make some changes in terms of rebranding. Can you kind of explain what went into maybe taking out the screaming part? Because I know that's something a lot of fans want to talk about.
Well, Eagles don't scream; they screech. Okay, so I mean, we could be in Newfoundland and say how we got screeched in or something like that, but Eagles don't scream. And just the Screaming Eagles, it's just a long name, and Cape Breton Eagles, and we rebranded our jerseys. And if you ever saw the old Screaming Eagles, there was the Eagles and the screaming across it with the paws of the Eagles. It was just like a scary creature that was on there, and that was just a really big part of it. And it came back at the same time of how to change our jerseys. So that was the real reason for it, and I think it's worked out well. People, when I wear my jerseys all the time, people say, "You're an Eagles fan." I said, "Absolutely. I hate Philadelphia." Well, so it's okay. It's confusingly similar, but we're the Cape Breton Eagles.
Yeah.
And it's amazing how many times I get stopped when I got my Eagles, paraphernalia on, that people know of Cape Breton and know of the Eagles. And that is something I was saying at our press conference before. How many, NHL players that have come from the Q and have come from here, and Fleury, who played here, other NHL players. So we're well known. And I think what's so important is, players that will start here, and Thomas will get drafted one day, and Lafreniere, who is playing for the Rangers, and this is where they began. And if I come back and say this here, if you don't make it here, you're not going to the NHL, or you're not going to the next level, and that's so important. So I'm a big branding guy, brand equity, brand equity, brand equity. And I love coming here and seeing people wear our jerseys and wear our, Eagles paraphernalia and stuff like that. I just think there's a big opportunity for us to sell a lot more of that stuff.
You must have liked the new signage then you've seen.
I did.
This trip, eh?
I did. Listen, I love all the new stuff you're doing with podcasts. I love all the social media. And coming to sporting events today is just not about watching the game itself. It's all the social media that's a part of it. When I go to Madison Square Gardens, it's, who the celebrities in the stands. You're coming to watch basketball. You're looking around at all the people there. You come for the food. You come for the entertainment. And that's a big thing that we have to do here. And that's got to happen with the changes. It got to happen with the sound system, with the clock. Listen, we've had Ice Cube perform, and coordinated that he played tomorrow night, and in between periods for a little while, we could get hockey and Ice Cube together at the same time. So that is what, my dream is, how you take hockey, how you take entertainment, and how you take a whole social event, whether it's eating, drinking, socializing with people, and come here to be able to do that. And that's what I want to try and do.
And I think Joey Haddad has done a great job as well with, like, for example, the Blue Lobster Lounge.
Joey, the whole team here, you guys have done a great job in regards to getting sponsorships, selling more, flex ticket packages, etc. And, again, we're not New York City. We're not Toronto. We're not Halifax. How do we make it affordable? And I mean this. I'd rather see 4,000 people here that pay a less price for tickets than have 2,000 and pay a high price. I want our fans to be able to come here, have it affordable. Someone pointed out to me, it's more expensive to buy our French fries than it is to buy a beer and our poutine. But that's what I want to make sure it's affordable to come here. And I promise you, I would never let a fan be turned away because they couldn't afford a ticket, couldn't buy a ticket, and that's what's important.
So with that, obviously you come here and you're talking to everybody in the staff, but who else are you working with to try to improve things? I know you probably have a lot of talks with the CBRM as well as the building too.
Listen, I'm talking to the CBRM on a regular basis, and I'm also have a meeting, tomorrow with the CBRM, with the mayor, Marie Walsh, and other members of the CBRM. We're all frustrated. I think COVID slowed a lot down. And what I must say is this here. Everybody is very much cooperative. The CBRM very much loves the Eagles. We're the largest tenant here. And if we weren't here, yes, this could be used for ice skating and, other hockey practices, but we are the largest tenant here. We bring, people, we bring spectators here for events. We bring people together. It's bring people together as a community. So the Eagles are very, very important to Cape Breton, and just not Sydney, it's Glace Bay, it's Sydney, it's North Sydney, it's the Waterford Sydney River, and I think that's what's important, that I'm able to bring everybody together. But again, how do we make it affordable? How do we make it part of a community? And how do we have something to talk about, that there's 31 wins and the energy and a good vibe here? Now, what I got to do from CBRM standpoint is to understand that. Now, there's been studies here to understand, what does this bring back to the community? Okay, number one, from the community standpoint, there's been an economic study. All these teams come in here. People come out and spend money. it's probably $8 million that it brings back into the community in regards to an economic benefit for the community here. Secondly is, from local, after they leave the game, do they go to McDonald's? Do they go to Starbucks? Do they go to A&W? Do they spend money they're getting out of their houses to do those things? When the Cape Breton Eagle bus that travels 26,000 miles a year drives around, whether it's the Maritimes or Quebec, you see Cape Breton. Oh, I want to go there. Okay. It's big for, Cape Breton tourism. Pat, when your games are advertised, when your games are broadcast in Moncton and other people are listening to it, it does a lot. So there's a lot of economic benefits here. And that's what's got to get across is this here. And the big thing is, Brad, when you're out there with social media today and spending time on this here, we're out there with eyeballs that are all over this. And that's what I said before. The world has changed so much during COVID, and we just live by social media. When I walked into the dressing room last night, you guys posted that. It's amazing how many hits I got from people that follow me, that knew I was here and, that I was there with the commissioner and stuff like that. And, well, maybe I should visit Cape Breton. So there is a big advantage of it. It's just not coming to watch a hockey game. It's all the other social media effects and all the other, other opportunities and marketing that brings along with this team. And I think that's where Joey and yourself and the rest, that we're figuring all this out and prioritizing what is the best way we market this team, market this community, market Center 200, market our players, and market what we have here.
So when you were talking about like working with the CBRM with this building, because like we are the largest tenant, like how much of like creative freedom do you have in terms of this building? Because like, we own our dressing room? Is that right? Like that facility?
So we are a tenant. We pay per game rate. We own our dressing room. We don't own it, but it's ours. We don't move our gear out and stuff like that for games. I mean, that whole area is part of our lease here that we have. We have a share in concessions, but they maintain the building. They look after the building. And sports teams, whether they own their own rink, they have a joint venture in managing their own rink. There's multiple ways to do that. And like I said, I look at this building and where Irwin Simon comes out at this here, is there a way I'm a part of this to look at this from an athletic standpoint? Last night they brought, or the night before when they brought Ice Cube in here, there was, an economic opportunity where could the Eagles been a part of that? I have access to other musicals, through one of my other companies, Tilray. On April 20th, we do concerts in New York. We do concerts in Atlanta and bring in all these bands and stuff like that. Cape Breton, can handle some of that. We're not bringing in Billy Joel. We're not bringing in Elton John and stuff like that. We're not bringing in Taylor Swift. But there is smaller entertainment, and I think Cape Bretoners deserve entertainment. I think also, this building could do multiple trade shows and do stuff like that. So could we be a part of it? Would I be interested in being a part of it? Absolutely, because I want to do more and more within the community that brings. I'm big into athletics, arts, and trade shows and bringing people here. And how do we spur on the community?
Mario Cecchini comes to town, and he's talking about attendance being up around the league. And you're probably proud as a Peacock hearing him talk about Cape Breton's numbers being up. I think he probably talked a little bit about it. What's been, do you think, the key to attendance going up, and what are you going to try to do to make it go up even more? You'd love to have 4,000 here all the time.
Our attendance is up. We need in this building 2,700 to 3,000 to really, hit our stride and hit our number. I think, listen, honestly, Pat, we started off a low base. It's not, before COVID and prior years, we were averaging 3,300. So when we're starting off 1,800 and we're up to 22, I pat yourself on the backs here, but it's not that we're starting, it's like I used to tell my kids at school, my grades are up, but if you had a D and you went to a C, your grades aren't really up, okay? So I think that's the big thing we really got to look at is where we're starting from. 2,700 to 3,000. Listen, I love that we're giving away $3,000 a night when we got over 3,000 fans here. So that's where I want to see. I was watching women's hockey this morning, some highlights of that, and I see the fans in the stands and stuff like that. NHL get average 18,000 a game. So think about it. Our hockey is great hockey. So shouldn't we get at least 20% of what they get to an NHL game? That's 3,600. So that's kind of where my numbers come out, is what I would like, is we're good, and you're not paying anywhere near the ticket prices. Listen, you know what it costs to go to an NHL hockey game today? I mean, you could buy a whole section here for what it costs for 2 tickets. So you're getting great hockey. You can come out here with some great entertainment, and it's affordable. So that's my thing. 18,000 at an NHL game. Get that 20%. I'd like to see us at 3,600.
Now, Irwin mentioned the Ticket to Win It promotion. Did you guys try to get him in one of those commercials that they have the players in? I think Irwin would be a natural actor.
Hey, yeah.
No problem.
Put your suit on. We'll see what we can do, I
That's
guess.
no problem. I dress up okay. I clean up and dress up okay.
Are you willing to put the Screech costume on? I shouldn't say that. Screech is not a costume.
That's right.
Screech is a real person.
It's a lifestyle.
Yeah, it's a real person. You talked about kind of eyeing that 40 wins on the season. In terms of the whole season, from an organizational standpoint, where do you hope to see this team maybe in 5 years or in 10 years' time?
So let me step back. I'm not a guy that looks, and it's never looked at 10-year or 5-year strategic plans, because I say things change every quarter out there, okay? And to look into that glass ball and sort of say, hey, this is what's going to happen. So I will take it year by year, and how do we build? And I'm a builder. And a builder, first of all, starts with a team. And what's important here, we get the right people in the team in place. And that's the team in the hockey operations. That's the team in the business part of the hockey out there, selling sponsorships, with ticket sales, with running game day operations, and then putting the coaching staff behind the players and the training. And also, how many scouts. So there's a lot that goes into building out the Eagles, okay? You think about it. We probably, have 25, 30 full-time people here, and then all their scouts and everything that go part of it. Listen, Brad, you know what it's like for game day to get, ready for a game. And no different. The NHL is the NHL, but we're playing 3 periods, 20 minutes. We're putting players out there. We got fans here. There's maybe there's more fans or more to do, but there's a hell of a lot to do. Pat, you're calling the game here. It's the same as calling an NHL game, and you could call an NHL game. So number one is we have to do almost similar to what NHL is, maybe not in the same scale. Number two is, so the team is the key, and the team and all the aspects of it. Everybody wants to see a team that wins, but if you come here and have a crappy experience, even though the team's winning, you're not going to enjoy being here, okay? And, you did ask a question about, the next 4 to 5 years. What's important for the next 4 to 5 years is building that team and the draft choices that you're getting, okay? And what's even more important, in the NHL you can make trades, and there's, free agents out there. There's going to Europe and that to pick people up. There's a lot of limitations you can do here in the CHL or the Q in regards to their age limit, 16 to 20. Number two is, how many Americans, how many international you can have. The other thing is, as I said before, we're competing with the NCAA today in regards to a lot of dollars out there. So what's important for us is, number one, for the next 4 to 5 years, that we're building a team that's going to be a real contender. Now, we're not the only one out there doing it, okay? There's 17 other teams out there doing it, and some teams are going to go for it. Where I'm seeing this team today, I'm seeing this team, and I look at the next 3 to 4 years to be a real contender out there. And if you think about it, what happens is you become a real contender, and then your 20-year-olds go away, and you start all over again. We were there the year that COVID hit, and then, kind of everything went away and everything fell apart here. So I really see in the next 2 to 3 years, we're there as that contender, that Memorial Cup, that winner. In regards to building around that with the infrastructure, getting the fans in the building, coming from the game day experience, coming here today and enjoying, Center 200 as a place to come is something that the team is really building out today. So I say in the next 3 to 4 years, and each year you're going to see some, quantum changes. I see some really exciting things happening here. And, again, there's restrictions with Cape Breton being, limited in its capacity because what it can afford, what it can't afford. When you got the Rangers, you got people still coming from New Jersey, Connecticut. No one's come from Halifax to Cape Breton to watch a hockey game. Are we getting people from Port Hawkesbury to come here and watch a hockey game? We were before. But if we get momentum, we get excitement, we get a winning team, we get a great building where they want to come to and enjoy all those things, okay? And Cape Breton's a great place to come visit. We'll get the fans, we'll get the excitement, and, it'll all come together.
Seems like a really exciting time to be an Eagles fan.
Listen, it's an exciting time to be an Eagles fan. It's an exciting time to be part of the Eagles organization. It will be an exciting time to be an Eagle, player. And with anything, you just got to pull it all together.
I think it's a good way to end it. I know you have some meetings to get to, so thanks.
Well,
very
guys,
much.
thank you, and thank you for everything you do. And listen, I'm big on vibe. I'm big on energy. I'm big on everybody buying into it at the same time. And with that, I got to tell you, I feel it here, and that's important. And sometimes I get scared because my gut gives me, that indication. And when it's not giving me the good indication, I'm like, I better go take some Pepsid or Tums, okay? But I'm getting a good indication, guys. So I feel good.
Very good. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thanks very
Thank you.
much.
Thanks.